All right, how's it going? Is everybody doing okay this week? So welcome to Know Your Gear QA Live podcast. And today is, what is today? September the 25th. The year's almost over. It's pretty good. And so hopefully I was about a minute late because I was checking the stream health and all that stuff, and it looks pretty good because last week it was a little dodgy. So I'm checking it again. Every time I have a problem with the live show, latency issues and stuff, I go and check, and it always seems to be my provider, my internet provider, just gets a weird time of day. Excuse me. And so, a couple things to note about the show. If you're new to the show, if you want to ask me a question or start a subject, start it with the question mark first. That's why I know you're talking to me. Also, you can stream this as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, you name it. Majority of people do iTunes, but whatever you like. I'll put links down below. Another thing to mention again. Teespring keeps doing this, which is pretty cool. Teespring's doing another sale. It's super easy. It's down below. I put a link with the code word. It's 10% off. But the reason I tell you about this is whenever whenever Teespring does this, that's on them. That's their discount. So you get 10% off, but they eat it on their side, not on my side. So it's a great way if you're thinking about buying some merch and you want to support the channel. It's a great way you save some money, but it doesn't discount my side at all, which is pretty cool. So I appreciate you guys if you take advantage of that. And if you do, please send me to askknowyourgear@gmail.com. Send me a picture of you in your shirt, and I would love to put it at the beginning or the end of one of the videos. I'm kind of putting them more towards the ending now, but that's great. I love it. It's a highlight every week when I see one. So let's get into the nitty gritty. The first thing I want to do is talk about the first question I see, which is why not maple? I don't know why not maple. Maple's a good wood. It says, hey Phil, love the show. What's your secret to playing the blues? Thank you for work. Thank you for the work you do and the wisdom you share. Thank you for calling it wisdom. That's seems like a very gracious way to say it, but thank you. I appreciate it. My secret to playing the blues. I think the way I would say I play everything is I'm usually faking somebody that is much better than me. So what I mean by that is I've heard this said by so many musicians, and I find it to be 100% true. Anytime somebody says, hey, I like the way you did that, I go, yeah, that was my poor version of this. Sometimes the best thing I ever hear is somebody go, I would have never got that. I'm like, yeah, that's how bad it was. So what I mean by that is, when I play any kind of blues licks or anything, the person I love for this kind of stuff is Bob Schneider. And if you don't know who Bob Schneider is, I will put a link down below. I'm a huge Bob Schneider fan. Huge. Like I said, everybody knows my favorite guitar player is Monty Montgomery. One of my favorite artists of all times, in the top 10 for sure, maybe the top 5. I probably should give him top 5 status. It's Bob Schneider. I love him so much. And he's not a blues guy. I don't know what you would call it. I like to call it bar rock music, like Monty Montgomery. It's probably, I mean that as no insult to those artists, but I feel like it's the kind of music I want to listen to when you're drinking a cold beer with some friends. Yeah, Bob Schneider. So those are the licks I'm usually trying to pull off his stuff. And he's obviously a songwriter, not a player, but I love his chord phrasings and his stuff. I just love the way he does stuff. It's crazy. I highly recommend you guys check him out. And he's all over the place. I should warn you guys. He is one of the few musicians that I will recommend you that I have to be careful, because he's one of those musicians, some of you guys know these guys, that some artists, each album is like a totally different person, so, and a totally different sound and a totally different thing. So if you get one album you hate it, you're like, I don't like his music. Or if you get it and you love it, you might. So I want to recommend a great album, and I'm pretty sure I know the album. So let me verify it. It's been so long since we bought albums. But the songs I like are Bullets, Metal and Steel. So I'm going to put album. Please bear with me. I feel like he deserves the right accolade here. The album is Lonely Land. That's the one I would start with. Although I will tell you right now, for me, anything live, just like Monty Montgomery, anything live will blow anything away. Although I'll tell you, since the show sometimes ends and starts in a funny story, here's a funny story about Bob Schneider that I didn't know. This happened many years ago. I'm trying to get back to the right screen so I can see you guys talking. Hold on. I love his stuff. And I don't know if you guys ever experienced this before. It was my first ever experience with this, where I bought his albums and I got some live stuff and I loved it. I was addicted right away. And my wife got addicted right away. She loved it as well. And so one time he came to town to play and he was just him by himself with his acoustic guitar. And it's always funny now because now I think, Meg, I don't think he'll ever see this video, but I always wonder because, you know, it's on the internet now. So if you ever see this, Bob Schneider, it was a great show, but yes, I was shocked. Here's why I was shocked. I didn't know that if he's just by himself with his acoustic, instead of doing like the traditional stuff he does this really interestingly different. I'm trying to put how do I explain this? He curses a lot, and it's a little, I don't want to say vulgar because it wasn't vulgar, but let's just say it went from PG-13 music on his albums to NC-17 the live show. It was a much different artist than I ever expected, but I enjoyed it, and my wife enjoyed it, even though we were like the whole time looking at each other going, this is different. I didn't, so it was great. So first time I ever had that experience before, you know, where it was like a totally different thing. So apparently he you know, he's a different vibe when he's by himself. So if you ever go see him, that's what I'm telling you. Apparently when he's alone without the band, it's a little bit different sound. Okay, so let's see. We have some stuff to talk about. Oh, you know what I should get into first? The auctions. The auctions. As you guys know, this week, you probably saw I backed off some stuff. I was editing all week. I didn't put out content. I wasn't in the mood. You know, last week was kind of a wore me out kind of thing. It was a lot of time. So as you guys know, we had the debacle with the auction for the Atlantis guitar. It sold yesterday. That was Thursday. It's sold and it's been paid for. So it's better yet. And I'll give you the exact amounts because I think I owe it to you guys to tell you guys this. And I have to be honest, you know, the experience was very good, but it got a little nerve-wracking towards the end. So the end result, ready? $4,650 it was raised on the Atlantis guitar for Guitars for Vets. That is fantastic, beyond my dreams. You know, I know some of you guys are going to be like, well, it wasn't the original 8,000. Didn't we lose out? Look, I was the last guy. Okay. So, you know, I wanted to say this because again, I always try to come forward and tell you guys, even when I'm super, super wrong, as sometimes you are in life, I was super, super wrong on this. Look, I knew the guitar would do 1,500. I knew that because, you know, I was like, well, I wouldn't want to sell it for less than that. So I would buy it and donate it and just keep it. And then I was like, okay, well, what would I pay? And then I had a couple friends like, well, you know, they were like, well, this is what I'll buy it for. You know what I mean? So I had a good idea. But when people were throwing out numbers like $2,000 at first, I was like, I don't think so. And then when people were throwing numbers like 5,000, like, I think we'll go 5. I'm like, I've just never heard of such a crazy thing. And so it did really, really well. Now, I will be honest with you. It did get hurt a little bit. Here's how. I don't know. I'll tell you the story just so you guys know. I have a viewer who's also a patron who wanted to buy it at 6,000. And so what happened was, very understandably so, he went to go bid on it when it first got listed. And by the time he was ready to bid on it, it was already over 6,000. So he sent me a message, very kind message, and said, hey, Phil, I wanted to buy it for 6, but good on you, man. It's way over that. I'm good. So I can't get it. But he goes, I'd rather lose it and you get more money. Well, what happened was, as we know, the 2 bidders were fake, and there was another bidder in there. It was a nightmare. When we went to relist it, he sent me a very nice message saying, hey, Phil, I spent some money. You know, we had a nice talk, actually, believe it or not. He bought something really cool. He ended up doing a nice donation to Guitars for Vets privately. But long story short, you know, that's what happened. But the good news is somebody got it who wanted it, and it got $4,650. And again, I feel like just because I want to tell you guys this stuff because I think it's cool. 46, let's do it this way, what is it? It is 23 veterans got guitars and lessons out of this, is what should happen. So good. And the second thing, the shocker, the real shocker for me was, as you know, I also listed the beer caster, and the beer caster was, again, 100% of it was going to Guitars for Vets. So it raised $1,775. That was $1,075 more than what I predicted it was going to go for. I thought it'd go for $700. You know, what's funny is, it's weird to me. I would have never predicted it in a million years, much less in the last week, that emotionally the beer caster was like, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna miss that guitar. I was gonna be like, no, the Atlantis guitar is so amazing. I'm gonna miss it when it's gone. And now actually it's the beer caster that's like, oh, it's gonna be gone. But what does that all mean? This is what it means as I calculate. It means that $6,425 were raised for Guitars for Vets. I actually said on an earlier video that I raised $3,000. That was not accurate. It was actually $2,800, so not as much as I thought. So at current standing, without counting any of the donations you guys did, thank you guys so much for that, we've raised $9,225 for Guitars for Vets this year. My goal is $10,000, and then next year, I did $10,000 last year, and then next year I'm going to probably do Children's Hospital for my charity. Because again, I try to pick the charities that mean something or has affected my family in some way. So I just thought I'd share a bit with you on that, but mostly just to tell you that they have both the auctions finished and they have been paid for, and that bit is behind us. And then tomorrow, I guess they're going to announce some winners. And if you guys are interested, at the end of today's video, I'm going to give some predictions and also what else? Some predictions. And some, I don't know how to explain it. Something else. Promise you, if you hang out to the end, it might be worth it. Joe Watson wants us to know that Monty Montgomery is amazing. And of course, it looks like my internet is stuttering again. Yeah, please check the video resolution. You're currently at 720. Hold on a second. And my internet is just not working. So... And I started the show with great health. Hold on a second. Settings. Let me try something. Give me a second. Nope, I can't change anything. It's all locked. Okay. We're just going to have to tough through it. It says it's fine now again. Okay, hold on a second. Hate to do this to you guys, but I need to check something. Hold on. Hold on a second. Okay, well, that's where we're at. Let's see what happens now. Are we still frozen? We're frozen. Refresh. Okay, let me know if that's better. Okay, let's see what happens. I think part of the problem is it says my stream is poor. All right, guys, we're just going to have to power through. If I can get back to the main screen. Okay. You're still up for us. Okay, so there, we covered the guitar selling. That's good. And let's see what else we can talk about. Okay, I know I got some super chats, but let me, again, I want to hit the first couple questions. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on, guys. I am looking for a question mark. You know what? Let me swap over and just grab some super chats. They're there. And I think part of the problem is I might have too many windows open right now. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Let's get to some of the questions today, shall we? The first super chat that I see is from Cody. He says, recently bought an Ibanez AZ Prestige, but feel like I'm not good enough to own a 2K guitar. Should I downgrade and use extra money for mods and lessons? You know, there's no such thing as not good enough for your guitar, in my opinion. You know, that's something that people say, especially, I don't know, jerks. But, you know, like, here's the reality of this. You know what I mean? A guitar, you don't need an expensive guitar. That's for true. You don't need, you need a good guitar, and you can buy a good guitar at any price. But the idea that being not good enough for your guitar is silly, because that's the goal. So, you know, think about it this way. I don't picture artists like Eric Clapton or Eddie Van Halen going, man, you know, this guitar is too good for me. You know, I mean, I know they're fantastic guitar players, but you understand what I'm saying. They look at it as they want the guitar to be, you want to wake up in the morning and say, I hope I do well by this instrument, because this instrument is so much better than what maybe I can output, and that gives you your drive every day. So, Cody, to put it to you plainly, if you like the guitar, you should keep the guitar, and don't worry about that. That's a thing that doesn't matter. You know, I used to think, obviously, like a lot of players, that, you know, if I got a certain piece of gear, or I got a certain guitar, then I would be better. And really, you get better by practicing. But the instruments definitely inspire you, and they definitely can hold you back. In fact, a bad guitar is the problem, or a bad instrument, which are very few to find nowadays. They're out there, but bad instruments will hold you back. Good instruments do not. You know, don't have to worry about you not being good enough for one. But should you downgrade and use the extra money for that's a money issue. Okay, so if you want to sell the instrument and try to use some of that cash to buy a less expensive instrument and get some lessons, I think that's a good investment. I don't think there's ever a wrong investment in lessons, but I'd also like to give the alternative argument, which is you could also keep that nice guitar and go online to YouTube and get free lessons. There's tons of free lessons out there. And I don't have an opinion about the free lessons. I've said this many times. I'll say it over and over again. How I personally feel, and this is how I rank things, so you keep in mind. I think the best lessons you can get, hold on, let me move my mic. I think the best lessons you can get are private instruction one-on-one. That is the best. I'm not saying that, actually I'm saying exactly that. They're the best. If you do that, I think you'll see the biggest improvement, and that's generally why they cost the most. And then after that, I'm going to say classes. If you can find classes at your community college, or whatever, or, you know, wherever they offer classes, those are going to be pretty good, because again, you'll get the interaction aspect. Then I would say after that, you're going to go to some kind of online, I want to say constructed lessons. In other words, lessons where somebody's actually filled out an entire, you know, syllabus for you, and you can follow a plan. And then after that, then it would be, you know, onesie twosie YouTube videos, and then after that, you know your weekly tabs. And so what I'm saying is there is a hierarchy to what I feel is the best kind of instruction to the least best kind of instruction, but none of that instruction is bad. In fact, when I say best, when I say best, I mean you'll move the fastest. You will, if somebody's helping you one-on-one, unless they're a horrible teacher, which is a factor, but you should be able to identify that and move on. If you're getting one-on-one instruction, you should be moving the fastest. So again, Cody, let me put it to you this way. If you asked me before, hey, should I get the $1,000 Indonesian AZ and, you know, let's see, that's 10 months of lessons at $100 a month, right? Or the $2,000 Prestige, I would have said, yeah, get the Indonesia one and the lessons. However, now that you have the $2,000 Indonesia or Japanese guitar, I could say easily, well, now that you're in that situation, keep that guitar, love that guitar. You're never going to outgrow it. It's a great guitar if you like it. And now just do online lessons or find free service lessons and go that route. So something to think about. Or when you get some cash, you know, do a couple. Like I said, I keep reminding you guys, right now during COVID, it's a little tricky to do this, but always consider private lessons like tutoring as well, too. I do it every year, even this year, or luckily I did it earlier this year. I always take a month and sometimes 2 months a year, always. And I sign up with a teacher and I take some lessons. And I always know exactly what my problems and ruts are, what issues I've been having lately, and tell them what the problems are and let them work me past it. I love the idea of tutoring. Taking lessons sometimes is tutoring. Okay, what else? Let's go to the next one. The next one's from Chris, and he says, thoughts on the 490 pickups. I like the 490 pickups. I'm assuming we're talking about the Gibson pickups. I've decided over time, like I said, I like the 490s. I wouldn't say all the Gibson pickups, but I really like most of them. My favorite though, I think, is the Burst Bucker and then the 57. And I've flip-flopped on that so many times on this show. If you watch all, 108, well, I think there's 200 and something if you go to all bonus episodes on the podcast on iTunes. But I flipped on you guys a couple times. I'll be like, oh, it's 57s for me. And then I'm like, Burst Buckers. I go through, times, but it's always going to be one of those two. I've never really kind of dipped out of those two. And right now it's Burst Buckers and then the 57s. And then after that, 490s. What I will tell you about 490s is the pickups is when they're in my Gibsons that I've bought, I just leave them there. So there you go, if that helps. Okay, what else do we got? We got a bunch. Let me get through some of these. I'm like slacking or something. Hold on. Brandon says, what does Brandon say? He says, hey, Phil, any thoughts on the PRS SE hollow body standard over a Les Paul style guitar? Can't decide between the two. Love the show. Well, you're saying hollow body standard over a Les Paul style guitar. They're two different animals to me. Totally different animals to me. The PRS SE hollow body is a true hollow body. And that's a totally different animal. It sounds different. It plays different. So to me, it's a hard question you're asking me, because you're asking me do I like trucks or sports cars? They're just too different of an instrument, even though they're just like kind of generally the same shape kind of vibe. I know, generally. Which one? I would pick the Les Paul over the SE hollow body. I have both. So how about that? I have both of those. I like them both. If I was going to keep one, I'd keep my Les Paul. To me, it's as much as I like hollow bodies, I play the hollow bodies the most, but I don't use the hollow bodies that most. And what I mean by that is, for me, I play hollow bodies almost all the time in the house for my personal enjoyment. However, whenever I jam with friends, or if I'm playing anywhere, if I'm doing anything with music, I never have the hollow bodies. So it's not an instrument I use in my vein of music. David says, hello, Phil. I have some light denting on several frets. Yep. Okay. How do I know when it's time to level and crown? Sure. Here's what I will tell you. Two things. There's two things you can do if you have some indentations on your frets on your guitar. The first thing is, if they're not making dead notes, if they don't affect the way it feels, sometimes it's crazy. I've played guitars where literally the frets have divots in them, so deep that if it was it's like you could trip over it. I don't even know if that makes sense, but you understand what I'm saying. They were deep, and yet the guitar played fine. It's a miracle. Like, there is no issues. So here's what I'm saying. If the guitar plays fine, if it sounds fine, then that's good. You can leave them. You can wait. However, I will tell you something that I would recommend you do. Get a D'Addario polish kit, or maybe some steel wool and some painter's tape, or some Scotch tape to protect them. Or you can use some micro mesh. There's all kinds of stuff. You can use Gorgamite sheets and polish those frets. And here's why I say that, because what I've seen over time is that when you get little dents in the frets, little marks, they tend to get corroded and they kind of get worse. So keep the frets polished, and that'll help. So, and that's it. That's how you know when you're ready for a level and crown. Or crown and level, which is technically, crown. Well, level and crown. We call it crown and level, but it's a level, and then you crown them. But anyways, what's my point? My point on that is, that's what you can do. Other thing you have to think about, too, is if you let them get too deep when they crown and level your frets, they're going to take your frets really, really low. So something else to think about. So there's two issues with that. When I see light indentations on frets, let me tell you what I do when a guitar comes in and I'm working on one and it has light indentations. I try to polish everything out to see if I can get away with that without having to level. Because again, generally speaking, you get 3 level and crowns out of a fret, especially unless it's like a vintage fret, which is tiny, and then maybe you get 2 if you're lucky, but 3. So every time you do it, but that doesn't matter that you get 3 as a general rule. 3 times you can level and then crown the frets. To me, you get 1 before you start noticing your guitar doesn't feel the same. So like when I do the second one on a person's guitar, I'm always like, okay, just be aware. It's not going to feel the same as it used to because the frets are lower now. So Ramon says, what coil split pickups get the closest to a neck pickup on a Telecaster? I want an HSH Strat, but the coil splitting have a vodka shot on me. All right. This is going to be my vodka, I think. So the Tele neck pickup is a weird pickup. It's a 43 gauge wire, which is smaller than normal 42 gauge wire you see on pickups. The Telecaster neck pickup is a different animal. So I don't know specifically. I don't know. Well, let me put it this way. Actually, something that I'll tell you a weird thing. One of the things I don't like about coil split humbuckers is they're kind of weak. That's, to me, the Telecaster neck pickups issue is a kind of a little weak sounding. So to me, when you're like, what pickups coil split best to sound like a Telecaster neck pickup? Almost all of them, because that's what they're kind of simulating to my ear. And when I say weak, I don't mean bad. Just it's a lighter tone. So obviously I'm a Tele guy. Just don't, I know some people's like, what? I love the Tele neck pickup, but you understand what I'm saying. It just doesn't have it's not a hot pickup. It's not kicking. So to me, you're fine. But I can't think of a specific humbucker that I'm like, oh yeah, that's more like the Tele pickup. Snick Juice. I always say it that way. I like to say it that way. Snick Juice says, he says, it's my wife's birthday, so I won't be catching the whole stream. Well, happy birthday to your wife. You guys have a great afternoon and enjoy your birthday. Birthdays are great because they beat the alternative. All right. David says, what has David said? He said, this show has been and continues to be a weekly highlight. I look forward to it. Thanks for helping us get through these stay-at-home months. I appreciate that. And I'm glad you say that. Thank you, actually, David. That's really nice for me to hear because, man, I am cabin fevered the freak out right now. I cannot handle anymore. My cabin feverness is because it has been a normally seems warm September here in Arizona. It's like, I don't know what the temperature is today, but yesterday was like 107. And what that means is, I told you guys, it doesn't have to get, our heat's different here. I know it's a dry heat and we say that, but it's really different. Like to me, if it's 100 degrees or 101 during the day, in the afternoon, it's 80s. And 80s is nice here because it's so dry. You can just go sit outside and relax. But in the afternoons here at 6 o'clock at night, it's still 100 degrees. It's not fun. So it's hard to get out of the house and go sit in your backyard unless you go in the pool. And, I guess you can do that. But I'm just saying, I'm getting sick of being trapped in the house from the heat. I'd like the heat to dump down a little bit. Again, I'm not asking it to get cold. Just, can we get down to the double digits? 99's fine. I like that. But yes, so I understand the cabin fever. Yes, cabin fever. I've come up with the silliest reasons to get out of the house recently. I'm like, I have to go to the store and get a napkin. Not napkins, just one. I don't know. Okay. Declan, what's up, Declan? He says, I missed out on the beer caster by $25, but I'm in Ireland, so it probably would have been a nightmare for Phil to ship. eBay is a horrible place. I don't know if you guys know this. I will honestly say I should take that back a little bit, but I really don't want to. And the reason I say I should take it back is because I'm sure it's because I have had no reason to be on eBay buying or selling in probably, it feels like 5 years. It's probably 10. Okay. So the auction that I use on eBay is so old that I think the last time we physically used it was like 2016 or 2014. And maybe even before that. So I'm not used to all the eBay rules. And eBay is weird, man. That it's a weird place. And so, yes, shipping overseas was weird because it kept telling us it wouldn't let us because of CITES. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm clicking the wrong tabs. But, the reason I say this is I'm admitting that I'm probably part of the problem. But I'm also admitting that, that if I'm not understanding it, it's because they don't make it easy to understand. So yeah, but I would have shipped it, but it's, I have no idea. John says, I am a disabled vet with PTSD. Guitar makes a big difference in my life. Guitars for Vets is a great charity, and it works. Kudos to you, Phil. Kudos to all of us. John, thank you so much for giving me credit, but I really don't deserve the credit. You guys do. All of you guys that help build this charity, do this, build up some money for charity and stuff and take care of this stuff. You guys deserve all that accolades. And I'm glad, what you said. I believe... and again, I try not to be, impose too much on you guys. I like to I keep an open mind. I'm always open to thoughts, and I sure as hell don't mean to offend anyone. But there's two things I believe, and one is when it pertains to the same two things, but they're one thing I believe. I believe that surgery and drugs should always be the last choice you make. To fix a problem. And again, I'm not saying anyone shouldn't get surgery or use drugs. It's not even close to what I'm saying. Please hear what I'm saying. Again, it's the internet, so they can always sometimes you react before you hear. I always think it should be the last option. And so reason I say that is if you can fix it some other way, or help some other way. And so to me, why music has always meant something to me, why guitars mean something to me, is because if anyone can get anything out of playing a guitar before maybe having to take any other choices that are more detrimental to them in the long run, I think it's a good thing. Guitars have definitely, and I literally mean this, saved my life many times in my life. I have had moments where, exactly like John, situations that are just at a point in your life where you're like, I don't know what else to do other than, maybe get numbed up mentally or physically. So I agree. So thank you so much, John, for letting us know that helps. Again, I try not to get too much heavy on these subjects, but it is something that's important to me. And I always look at everybody here as the same. We're all the same. Okay, we love music. If you're on a channel about guitar gear, it's about guitars, which is really about music. I think about this all the time, starting another YouTube channel, although I just don't have the time. But if I could, I would love to do a YouTube channel about music, not playing music, just talking about it. I am notorious. So if I ever get out of this COVID hell of, when we can go back to actually hanging out with each other again, I am notoriously known for any time of you guys want to play any kind of music trivia games while at the bar drinking, I can usually pummel pretty good. I hang with the best of them when it comes to useless knowledge about bands and music. So, you think I like guitars, you should get into my head when it comes to just bands. That's how I got a love of guitars, all the music. So, what else do we got? We got other stuff to talk about. Let's get to the next subject. What's the next subject we want to talk about? Hold on. I know there's super chats. I don't forget them. I'm just trying to get to some of see if anyone's talking about. Alexander's got a question, and it's a question. It's just for me, but I'll answer it. It says, howdy, Philip. Says, what is the oldest piece of music gear you have ever used? Also, way to go for doing this for 178 episodes. Yeah. Thank you. It's a lot of episodes. It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. I heard a great thing, and then I'll answer your question, Alexander. I heard this great thing. It was Joe Rogan said this, and he said he's done so many podcasts now. It really spoke to me, so hopefully it'll mean something to some of you too. He said, I've done so many podcasts now that whether people hate me or like me, that's up to them, but they know who I am because you can't do this many episodes. This is Joe Rogan talking. He goes, you can't do this many episodes and people not figure out what you're really about and who you really are as a person. And I kind of feel that way now with this many live interaction QAs. I feel like I think about it some days. Some days it just hits me maybe once every couple of weeks. I'll think because I see it on iTunes. I mean, you guys literally we have millions. I have millions of views on YouTube, but I'm combined. I'm talking about collectively, but I have millions of streams on iTunes and stuff. And I think about sometimes like you can tell when somebody's binge watching your series because you can see the numbers, just going. And I'll sit there and go and I'll watch somebody like in 2 weeks listen to like you can tell they binged out all the podcasts. And I think, man, they just heard me talk over a period of like 3 years. And then you wonder, like, I wonder if I'm consistent. I feel like I'm pretty consistent, but I mean, I don't know. Things change. I change. People change. But but either way, I think, yeah, you get a sense of who somebody else is with this many episodes. All right. I'm not old, I'm vintage says, I love music, but I lack the useless knowledge. It's probably good for you. So, my family, I bet you everyone in my house, especially now during COVID lockdown, would stab me in my sleep if they could, if they hear me say one more time, because I listen to music all day. So it's all day. It's always going. I have music going all the time. If I could play music while we're watching a movie, I would play music while we're watching a movie. So when the kids play video games, I play music. Anytime we're cleaning, I play music. Cooking, play music. I play music. And the thing I do that annoys everybody, and I think my family likes me okay, but it's every time a band comes on, I go, can you name that band? Can you name this song? Can you name... I don't know why. It's annoying because I tell myself every time, why don't I just tell them what band and what song it is? Instead, I got to do that third grade, teacher game of, can anyone tell me who this is? And no one cares, so no one answers. That's what happens in my house, by the way. I go, can anyone name this band or this song or the year the album came out? And nobody ever answers ever. And then I end up answering it, and I think, well, I'd make a good third grade teacher. So, all right. Okay. So let me go back to a couple super chats that I pinned up. And cause sometimes you guys get a little faster than me. And I think that's what you're doing right now. So let me go over there. Where'd we leave off? We left off with, David. So we got Brett. What does Brett want to know? Brett, dude, thank you, man. Huge super chat. I appreciate that. Says, hey, Phil, recently got my first 7-string, a PRS SE Custom 24/7 with the Seymour Duncan Pegasus in the bridge installed by the previous owner. Wanted to know which set of locking tuners would you recommend that does not require drilling? I'll tell you what I should do. I should message out PRS. I have a contact there, and I should see if they're ever planning to do those SE locking keys for their 7-string models, because that's the problem. The only way to do it right now is you have to buy 7. Well, no, you know what I mean. You have to buy 2 sets of 6. That's going to be a problem for everybody. I mean, almost all the ones. Hipshot has the ump plates, but they don't work for 7s. The ratio keys, I don't know if ratio makes a 7-string set, but if they did, those adapter plates would work. So maybe Justin at GraphTech, which is ratio. So I'll tell you what I'll do, Brett, is when I index this, and then I'll make a little note to email both Justin and Gene. I would imagine PRS is going to have little information because they're either going to say yes, it's something they're planning, or no. But Justin at GraphTech would be, I can reach out to him and say, hey, do you have a ratio set for 7 strings? And that would work. So. And maybe, you know what, who would know this is Nathan. Nathan's, he's always up to something when it comes to stuff like this, and he's always constantly telling me little tidbits he's learned about SEs and stuff. So that's another thing I can reach out to him. So Brett, what I'll do is I'll reach out. If you want, I'll mention it in the next week's show, or if you message me at the AskNewYourGear at Gmail and just reference this in the subject what it is, so I know to look, because I can find the subject pretty fast. I'll send you the response, or at least copy you on something. To help, because I think that's actually a question I think a lot of us would be, a lot of the 7-string players would like to know. Joseph, he's got a question. What's Joseph? Or maybe he doesn't have a question. He's got a statement. It says, hey, Phil, running 2 amps with an ABY, fuzz on just 1 amp, makes the other amp sound quiet and distorted. How do I get one fuzzy amp and one clean one? So Joseph, I've had this question before many times. It depends on what ABY box you're using, and in my opinion, there are only, there's a couple, but the only ones I recommend, get the one by Radial. By far, I shouldn't say love. I like the $50 Morley one. When I say like, I mean you can use that in a pinch. It will not work for a lot of cool stuff. You want to use the Radial one. It's like $100. It's made in Canada and it kicks ass. Or Morley has an upgraded one, but it's like $250, $300. And so as much as I like the Morley guys and I'd like to recommend their products, just the Radial stuff is superior for the price. And so if you have the Radial box, I don't know what the issue would be. But I think the problem is your AB box. And remember, so absolutely not all AB boxes are created equal. And that's not like something I've researched or read about. That's literally, I've bought all the damn AB boxes and run into, and I did what we all did. I bought a cheap AB box and I thought it worked great until I found a situation where it didn't. And I kept going this route. And I used to swear by the Morley ones until one day I had an issue. And then, like I said, so I learned the difference of the quality. And I'll put a link to the Radial one. If you put a comment, maybe I can search for it today, but let me know if you have that Radial one, because I haven't seen a problem with the Radial one. You might have an issue with it, but man, they're bulletproof. They're just great. Steven says, what is Steven saying? He's saying he just got a Tele Ultra. Any tips for setting it up with that fancy bridge? Looking to get slightly. Not slowly. He doesn't want anything slow. He wants it slightly lower action. No specific tips other than something I learned working on an Ultra recently. And my other buddy had the same issue with his too. I don't know if you guys know, but the Ultras, the necks are set deeper into the pocket, so the fretboard is lower to the body, so you have it's a lower profile across the body. So there's less distance between the bottom of the string and the top of the pick guard. So you just be aware of that. We came across a couple of issues with that. They do it, I'm sure, to make it feel a little tighter, a little cleaner, a little faster playing, but definitely different. But great guitar. Tele Ultra sounds like a great guitar. Okay, hold on a second. I know I got some super chats, but I want to jump back over, see what the conversation's going, and see if I can get some non-super chat commentary. What you guys talking about? Dale says, "Hey, can you link the setup document?" Yes, I need to fix all of the PDF links. I told you, we used to have them on the website, which was super easy for me. And then the website link was on all the videos. And then I've told you guys, I let the website go. I kept the domain name, but I shut down the website. And then I was going to do it as a Dropbox thing and put the links, and I just didn't do it. And the reason I didn't do it was, one, I didn't think about it. But morally, I just read, hold on, I want to get sidetracked. But mostly, no one was saying anything until recently. So Dale, I'll make sure I'll get the link set back up to those documents. And Joseph says he's using the Morley. Joseph, that's your problem, the Morley. Again, I like Morley their equipment. I use a Morley wah. That's a good AB box. And in all fairness, for the price of the Morley AB box, based on the situations, probably 50% of the situations, it's a great box. But you're in that other 50%. So get that Radial ABY box. You can get the one that doesn't use a battery. They have two versions. One doesn't use a battery, and it's like $99. Maybe it's $120 now, whatever. I don't know if inflation's that's affected recently, but I'll put a link to it if you can't find it. It's sick, man. Once you go that route, you'll never go back. That thing's it's a monster piece of technology. It's great. Okay, what else? The LPD pedals saying you need a buffer splitter. Now that will also work, but trust me, and I would never. I would always argue that probably Lawrence is going to be 99% right compared to me, so go with him. But what I will tell you though is that the AB boxes actually has another problem. Which you don't even know yet. So that's why I said switch AB boxes not first. Do that also if you want to do the buffer thing as well. I would definitely do that, but I would also make sure you get that right AB box, because man, it's just a huge difference. You'll notice your Morley. The biggest problem is if you ever try to plug acoustic and electric in it. A lot of times you'll notice that's when everything goes to crap. That's the day where you're like, oh, maybe it's not the best choice for $50. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on. always thinking about, you know what? When I'm not talking, I should drink. Okay. All right. I got to jump back over. I was trying to find some question marks, but I wasn't doing very good. Okay. So what do we got? Where did we leave off? We left off with, I don't know where we left off. We left off with Steven. So Robert has a good question. Let's see. It says, I'm thinking of getting an old PRS Custom 24, early 90s. What do I need to know? I have a special 22 triple soap bar, hollow body 2, single cut, and I love them. Well, you don't need really know anything. There's nothing in particular about them that's, important. I mean, PRS, he is a brand, and everybody has different feelings about this. I mean, some people are going to always like the vintage stuff. PRS is more so than not. I found with Paul and PRS guitars that there are very few cases where something older PRS is better. But I mean, it's true. But I mean, there are few. There's majority of the cases is the newer is better, because he's usually trying to improve something, and there's usually a reason why they change something. It's not because he's usually not the case where it's like, hey, it's 5 cents cheaper if we change it. It's usually because they've learned something. So something to think about is, the newer ones tend to be a little better. I'm also biased because I like when they made the changes, probably I think 2008 forward with the headstock, the rosewood headstocks, veneers. I thought that looked great. And so that's one of the things I like about the new ones. And I like a couple of the features. I like the newer tuning keys. I do not. So Robert, this is probably part of it. If you love the original locking keys from PRS, some people love them. I was just telling a buddy about them. He has them on his guitar. I'm like, oh, I hate them. And he's like, I should remove them. I said, well, they go for great money if you sell them, but I'm not a fan of them. I like the newest lockers. So the only thing, you need to know is just obviously the same thing you always need to know. Buy from a respectable seller. And make sure you know what you're getting into when you're looking. Benjamin says, I'm a disabled combat vet. I know vets who enjoy guitars for vets. Thanks, Phil, and KYG community. Semper Fi. So thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you for your service. Like I said, it's good to hear. I love to hear that when people say guitar, makes their life better, because there's such a weird tone in this industry, and it's only this industry. It's like weird. Maybe I'm just naive. Like, I don't see it so much in the sports industry. I don't see people going like, to football fans like, oh, you're just a fan of the sport. Like, what? Like, so I think it's funny. Like, I think there's a lot of us that are just fans of music and guitars, and we're into guitars as a hobby. And this is and when I say as an industry, I mean the companies that sell the products. There's companies that actually, like, you could tell, have a huge disdain for the fact that there's so many hobbyists buying their products. They're like, oh, we want our products for professional musicians. And I'm like, okay, well, they buy that too. You know what I mean? So it's always great, because I like I said, years of selling guitars to people, what I learned was 90% of us are hobbyists. Actually, better than that. 90% of us are hobbyists, and that's what I feel. I can't tell you that's a fact, but 90% are hobbyists, but I believe that probably 50% of the hobbyists are in denial. They don't even know they're hobbyists. In other words, sometimes when pro guys are like, I'm a pro musician, I'm like, okay, I guess. You know what I mean? Sometimes even they're kind of like, nah, I think you're a hobbyist too. Or there's dual sides of this. I've said this before. There are musicians, and I always use Pete Thorne as a perfect example. He's a professional musician. He does professional stuff. But I've talked with him. He has a nerd side like us where, yeah, he's a professional. He uses gear like tools. He's the quintessential what you're supposed to be. He can play really good. He's talented. He's in the industry. He does this for a living, and all those things apply. And then just like us, he's also like, yeah, but I like this thing, and it has nothing to do with his real job. So we can all be hobbyists and professionals and everything in between. Grumpy Mike says, something for the tip jar, and why not? Thank you, Grumpy Mike. I appreciate it. I think I just followed you on Instagram today. I'm very excited about that. And so Grumpy Mike, I got to tell you, this is pretty cool that you super chatted me, because I get to tell you something kind of maybe I hope you find enjoyable. I followed you on Instagram today because Shane in the Blues was following you on Instagram, and And I saw that and I go, why don't I follow Grumpy Mike? So I followed you. So I just thought not only should I tell you I followed you, but that I followed you because somebody else was following you. So there you go. That's always kind of cool. It's kind of cool, like, to see the connections everybody has. You know, Shane's in Australia. It's a small world when we're guitar players. I am going to butcher this name. And I haven't butchered a name all show yet. So I'm going to say Alpier. I hope I am even close. It's phonetically looks like that, Alpier. It says guitars and kids. Okay, how do you learn to live with scratches in the finish of your guitars? You know, this is the easy part for me. I don't know how to tell you how to do it, but I can tell you what happened with me. One day, I just stopped caring about chips and dings in guitars. It used to be a thing with me. I used to be horrific. If a guitar got chipped, I was ruined. It was distraught. So you know how cool and collected I am now. And I think it's because I work on guitars all day. I go to so many great lengths to never damage a customer's guitar, right? You know, you have to do all this stuff with your drop cloths, and you're always like, you know, you're always just freaked out. It has nothing. It's, so you know, it doesn't matter if the customer's guitar is, you know, $2,000 or $200. Everybody loves their guitar, and so you know, some people just don't like marks on their guitars, no matter what the price is. You know what I mean? So you got to take great care of their instruments. And I find over the years, taking great care of instruments like that I've actually lost that. Like, I don't want to do it with my own instruments anymore. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to have to worry about that too. So the reason I tell you that is that I've learned a little something with me, and this is what I've told you guys. Sometimes I'll buy a guitar and I'll get rid of it immediately. It's because sometimes if I'm worried about dinging a guitar, it's always because of the resale value. And to me, I've learned just recently in the last couple of years, probably through YouTube, because doing YouTube, that if I'm worried about the resale value, then I don't love this guitar. Then it's just time to sell it. If I'm constantly going, okay, you know, this thing, you know, or at that point I just put it in a case and put it away and wait for it to get the right price. There's 2 guitars right now I can think of in my collection that are literally, I'm just waiting for the right price. And I mean, it's going to take another 5-10 years, and they're worth 3 times what I probably would have paid now, but I know they're going to go crazy because they're just going crazy now. It's going to keep going. So, I don't know how you deal with it, but that's how I've been dealing with it. So, but so you know, with over the years with my kids, I've had at least 3 or 4 mystery dents in my guitars, and my kids are pretty well behaved. And I'm still like, and you can't get them to cop to anything. You're like, hey, did anyone see what happened to the guitar? And they're like, no. So there you go. Shinnery Kid says, tips for lowering action on a PRS SE. Sure. Well, I don't know what SE you have, but the easy part is, no, I don't have any tips because I don't know which SE you have. If you have the custom 24, if you have the tremolo bridge, you just make sure to lower your action. Here's what, like I said, focus on this easy part, and it's stuff I can do verbally without showing you. If you're just got to make sure your neck is not perfectly straight, but generally straight. And then you adjust it from the bridge from there. And that's probably pretty vague and also very hard to do on like I said, on a verbal thing. So, but I do have some good news. Remember we talked about doing a live show once a month from where I do it from the shop? Well, I'm doing that actually this October 3rd with my patrons. Some of my patrons signed up for this program. I don't want to call it a program. Basically, they're my guinea pigs. I have a dual camera setup. We're going to try and stream it. And so I'm going to be testing that with them. And then if it works, then we're going to take it on the road. We're going to take it here. So hopefully when you ask those kind of questions, we can keep questioning, because it's getting tough over the years when you guys are asking me questions and I'm like, I can't see what you're talking about. I can't follow up and I can't show you. So we'll try to focus those on that day. I'm going to say Day Talk says, because it looks like DAE is like, I think a Daewoo, right? Like the car company. So I'm saying the name is Daytalk. Again, he says, hey Phil, what's your finish, sanding, and polish process? Okay, and I'm on the finish stage of my gold metal flake sparkle fender 50s Strat repaint job. Sure. Well, it's funny, and you should say that I've been refinishing a lot. When I say refinishing, I've been sanding down stuff for somebody to paint. So my sanding process is it's the same as anywhere else, but I'll tell you where I end it. I end at 400 grit. That's where I kind of end before I'm ready for paint. You can sand a little finer than that, but I haven't been. So there you go. And polishing process, I have a buffing wheel, so I use a buffer wheel. I don't recommend you buy one. They're ridiculous. That's another thing. You know what's funny? That's a great question. You know what I'll ask? I'll ask Nathan. I think I did ask Nathan. I think I asked Nathan that a month or two ago, and he was saying same thing. I think he was saying 350 or 300. But I use 400 for no particular reason. Then that's just the sanding paper I bought, and I liked it. I tried a bunch of different things. I was just refinishing some sand, some stands and stuff. And I was using 400 grit, having great luck before staying and applying finish. John did a super chat for no reason and says, Lame Dad 5000 says, I have limited social circles. That's okay. That's all of us, man. It says, skills as I've been changing diapers for a few years. How can I find jam partners during the COVID era and otherwise? That I'm going to defer to the community, to you guys watching right now. Hopefully you guys have a couple of suggestions or thoughts because, dude, I have no idea. I don't know what everybody's doing. And it depends on your state, what's going on. I mean, I feel like music's been slowly venturing out in small amounts, but I still haven't seen a live performance yet anywhere I've been. I know there's a lot of, you can always stream and stuff, but I will tell you this. I'll tell you what I do a lot. I doing during COVID is jam tracks, all kinds of jam tracks. I highly recommend it. It's and learning songs but you know, one thing that drives me crazy is when somebody learns a riff. Don't learn riffs, learn songs. So what I mean by that is don't go and get the tabs for like a song you like and learn the riff. Get the backing track of the song. Look, you can pretty much find any song as a backing track. Find the backing track and play along. And I'll give you a good tip. Lame Dad 5000. Here's a great tip if you want to learn or if you want to jam. You know, right? Sometimes, just keep in mind, you can take a backing track and just learn what the chord progressions are on the song. So in other words, not the main riff, not the lead parts, just the basic chords, and play that with the song a few times. Get the sense of it. You know what I mean? Think about it just like a jam night. You know, right? When you're new and they put you on stage, they tend to tell you to go, okay, we're going to play, G, C, and D at this tempo, and then you just get to play the three chords, right? So same thing. Try to play the chords in the song. Just keep it basic. I do that all the time. It's very therapeutic. Sometimes I want to play with the song, and I play, and then I'll start venturing out the licks, and then maybe the leads after that and stuff. So there you go. Tons of backing tracks, and I do it for my bass too as well. Mostly my bass. I'll grab my bass, and there's my bass, and play along with the backing tracks. But dude, in today's era where you can get any kind of song and backing track and music, you can play along. Steven says, where do you find your backing tracks? Or he says, where does everyone find their backing tracks? There's a couple great websites, but mostly YouTube, of course. You can find a lot of that stuff easily. I find there's probably a couple good sources, but I'll tell you what I end up doing. I always just Google it. I don't even Google it. I just ask my phone. I'll be like, I'm trying to think of a song I was just learning. What was the song I was just learning? Oh, you know what I learned for some reason? I was learning a Weezer song, which is cool. And then I decided I had to learn Pour Some Sugar on Me by Def Leppard because I saw Phil Collins play the Joe Satriani 1980 song on YouTube, and I thought that was cool. And then I go, oh, yeah, it reminded me when, and I was... So anyway, I was playing Pour Some Sugar on Me. So that's what I did. I asked my phone. I said, I need the backing track for that song. And it gave it to me. So you just ask your phone. So lame as that is. Google it. Yeah, and James says YouTube has backing tracks. I literally have found no shortage of backing tracks. You know what I mean? You know. So hold on. What else do we got? We're doing great on time. We're an hour, so anything else we want to talk about? While I pour some water in this cup, or like we said, vodka. Hold on a second. I'm reading and pouring, which is probably not the best idea ever. It says, okay. So here's a question, and the question is, hey, Philip and everybody, would it be a good idea to find some backing tracks and try to book myself into local venues and play some kind of background music? Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Totally smart. In today's day and age, and this is obviously, even pre-COVID logic, sure, of course. Get yourself, you get yourself an iPad. You can get a laptop too, but an iPad or something like that, and you literally load in all the backing tracks and you literally play. It's a great way to get gigs. Think about this. You can charge, because it's a band of you, and some people just want background music. Think about something I always remind some of the musicians out there that want to just play in front of people. Keep in mind that some musicians don't want to be atmospheric music. In other words, they don't want to be in the background. They want to perform in front of people, and they want people to watch them and listen to them perform. And, as much as I appreciate that, there's a lot of people who just don't want to. They just want you in the background. You know what I mean? Some music in the background. So there's a lot of opportunities for musicians out there that just want to play in the corner of a room and, let people do whatever they're going to do, eat, drink, talk, be merry. And literally you're just there as the background. And it's great. It's a great way to get into performances if you're new. And again, especially because, it's an easy way to ramp up. You can do one for free, and then the next one you can do it for a free sandwich, and the next one's free sandwich and beer if you drink. And then the next one's a little bit of money. And it's a great way to build it up from there. Nicole wants to know my thoughts on 32-inch scale basses. Well, I am a huge fan. This is my custom Warwick right there. That is 32-inch scale. Warwick makes they will make you a 32-inch scale. This one was built custom for me. Hans, the owner of Warwick, approved it. I told him I had this idea for a crazy bass, and I wanted it, and they built it. So that's what I play. It's funny, it was in this room earlier this morning, and I must have moved it for some reason, but it was on the wall behind me. I have a Stuham Urge bass, one of the very, very first ones, and it's 32-inch scale as well. I'm a huge 32-inch scale bass fan. So there's my thoughts on that. What's great about them is you can find them. So you just learn, if you're new to this scale, it's also referred to as medium scale. And so sometimes when you search on Reverb or eBay or wherever, or GuitarCenter.com or wherever you're finding used gear, do 32-inch scale bass and then do a separate search for medium scale basses to see what pops up. And there's some great ones out there that Ibanez has made, but also, you can get import made Warwick ones and great stuff. And there's odd little, and here's what I love about 32-inch scale basses. It feels a little shorter. I think of a 32-inch scale bass like a Les Paul. It's a little shorter than a Fender Strat. It's 24 3/4 versus Strat's 25 1/2. It's just not noticeable. It's not like no one ever picks up a Les Paul and goes, I'm playing a short scale instrument. It's just feels a little different. To me, 32-inch is not like a 30-inch short scale bass. It's like a slinkier bass. And then, funny enough, I do play a 34-inch scale bass, but I play it with very tiny strings, 40 to 95s, I believe. This bass is 45 to 105s. This bass is 45 to 105. So I play the standard, the thicker strings or the normal strings on my short scale basses, shorter scale basses. So obviously a huge fan of that bass, of that scale. And I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It started out as simple as, I bought Stuham's The Urge. I became a Stuham. Stuham was my gateway drug bass player. what I mean by that was like, he's the first guy I go, whoa, what is that? That sounds totally different. And then I was like, I was hooked. And then of course from him, I find other bass players too. And then he was playing a 32-inch scale, and I thought, that's really strange. Little fun fact is the very first Fender artist bass ever, and it was the Stu-Ham Urge bass, which was 32-inch scale. So there you go. The very first artist to ever get their own bass from Fender was Stu-Ham, and it was based on his Phil Kubicki bass, but it was 32-inch scale. Kevin wants to know, hey, ever play the Epiphone Alan Woody bass? I did. I love that bass too. That's a little shorter. I think that's 37. It might be 20 something, 20. It gets a little weird. Some are 27, 29, but I think that's 30. I like short scale basses, you guys know. I really dig them. I think they have a little bit of different tone, really, really cool stuff. But as much as I like short scales and standard 34-inch scales, the 32-inch is different. It's something different. Nicole says, I need to try another 32-inch and really give it a try. Yeah, well, it's funny. Here's what's funny about that, and I maybe this will help. So I would say my main bass is my Jazz Deluxe bass. That's my main bass. And so we're all clear. I think I own 4 basses. I think. Let me double check. There's 2, 3, 4. I might have a 5th bass that I just in a case that I'm not realizing. So I have 4. That's it. They all get played all the time. Bass is different than guitar for me. If I'm not playing my bass, it doesn't stay. So in order though of playing them, it's my Jazz Deluxe, my Fender bass is my number 1. The Warwick is my number 2. The Jazz Deluxe is a 34-inch scale, but I swear, for some reason, it feels like the 32. It's slinky. It's a vibe. So the reason I tell you that is you can find sometimes by just picking up basses. Don't worry about the scales. If I handed, in fact, I can tell you right now, if I handed you anyone, the Warwick and the jazz bass and let you play them for a few minutes and didn't tell you what they were, you would have never figured out their different scale lengths. You would have thought they were the same. You would have thought they were both 32s, or you wouldn't have noticed. So it's just how it works. I just couldn't find another bass that felt like that Jazz Deluxe. So that's why I started focusing on the 32s again. You know what's cool is I saw Hoses in the house. Now Tesi's in the house. Tesi Switch. If you guys know Tesi Switch, they make the best kill switches. Well, they make all kinds of cool stuff. Knobs for your Helix. Lots of cool stuff. So I'll put a link to them because they were like one of the first people to ever send me anything and support the channel. Isn't that funny? So I always think about that. I always think about they were there before there was anything to get. Right? There was no audience. They just did it because they liked the channel, and I always have thought about that as the coolest thing. Joe says, I know you love PRS guitars. Have you done a review on a Knaggs guitar? I have done a review on the Knaggs guitar. I own a Knaggs guitar. I tried to sell the Knaggs guitar. It didn't sell. No one wanted it. So I think on the Knaggs guitar, the way it worked out, I paid $24 and change for it used. I think it was like $5,000 new. So I paid $24 used. I was trying to get 2 and just call it a day. And I think the best offer I got was $1,500. And I was like, for $1,500, I'll just keep the guitar. It's beautiful and it plays great. So what's the answer on the Knaggs versus PRS? I feel like the Knaggs is better than the PRSs, so you know. There's something about the Knaggs guitar. It has a little better sustain. It's just a better feeling instrument. Here's the issue though. It's an 8.5-inch radius. It's kind of not quite like a 7/4. It's just a little too round for me. I have the Sovereign, and they make a Sovereign X, which I guess has a 12-inch radius. If I would have bought the Sovereign X, I'd be a Knaggs guy forever. I'd be playing Knaggs over the PRS. So actually, here's the thing with Knaggs. This is how it kind of worked out for Knaggs. And I hope this helps, Joe, if you're at the base of your question. I bought a Knaggs used to test it, to try, because that's where we live now. We live in a world where it's like, there's no Knaggs dealers. I can't pick up a Knaggs and check one out. And I didn't want to, Knaggs, so you know, Knaggs was nice enough. My buddy Larry has his own signature Knaggs, and he's an amazing guitar player. And he hooked me up with the guys at Knaggs via email, and they were like, "Hey, well, we would love to build your guitar. You know, maybe give me a special price or something. You know, a discount or something." And I just didn't want to do that. And I think I've said this before on the show. I didn't want to buy a guitar from them because as cool as it is that, you know, you can deal with companies as on this YouTube circuit and get them to give you like an artist price or a deal. I don't feel comfortable just going, yeah, give me the smoking deal. And then I get it and go, I don't like it. So now I'm going to sell it and then make money off you. That doesn't feel right to me. If that is, so my intent would be, I want to try it. And so what happened was I bought a used one thinking I was safe, you know, like it's a good used price. In fact, when I bought it, that was the cheapest one you could find anywhere for months. And I bought it. Did the review. I'll put a link to it. Great guitar. Like I said, sounds great, plays great. I just not loving the rounded neck and the rounded fretboard. And everything else about it I like. And I thought, oh, I'll just get used to it. But here's the problem. There's a lot of nice guitars on the wall. When you have some nice guitars, it's hard for a guitar that isn't really good to get attention. You know what I mean? I'm past the days of like, okay, well, it's not bad for what it is. It's got to be something that draws me to it and makes me want to play it over something else. And I don't mean all the guitars because some of these are just visiting for reviews and stuff. But so anyway, so long story short, so now that I figured out, okay, I want the Sovereign X, my plan was I'll sell it. And again, I wasn't trying to make money. I just get most of my money back or most of it back. And then I was going to take that money and buy another Knaggs, get the Sovereign X. But here's the deal. I figured out at this point the bath I would take. I mean, it's just insane. I'll probably lose about $1,000, and then I got to buy another $4,000 Knaggs. Even if they give me a deal, maybe it's $3,500. So at this point, I'm just gonna back away from the Knaggs stuff for a little bit. But like I said, love the guitars. I got nothing to say bad other than just it was the wrong choice fretboard, but that's the one I could find at the price I was willing. $2,500 was the cheapest I could get my hands on one. And I felt like that was a lot of money to go, okay, I hope I like this, and then throw the crapshoot. That was a lot of juice. The other thing too is I will tell you is that it plays and sounds way better than, like I said, most of the guitars I've played. But honestly, I knew I would like it to some degree, and I do, because my favorite PRS, a little fun fact for you, my favorite PRS by far is my Mira. Now, of course, I take that back. It's actually this beautiful guitar that Nathan made for me that I can't point to. Right there, if you're listening, I'm pointing at this beautiful guitar that Nathan made for me. But up until that guitar, my favorite was my Mira, which Joe Knaggs, I guess, he created. So that was one of the ones he created at PRS. So there you go. So that's my answer on that. Joe says, yes, there is a dealer close to me, and I played the Larry Signature model, and I fell in love with it. Yeah, you know what? I'm yelling in the mic. That's what happened to me. I played Larry's. So I played Larry's, and I was like, can I play your guitar? And he's like, sure. Because Larry's such a nice guy. He lets everybody play his guitar. It's crazy. It's like people have heart attacks when he tells them. It's like a $6,000, $7,000. They're like, what? So I played his guitar, and I went, this is amazing. And then when I was looking, I couldn't find the X. I knew the X had the 12-inch radius fretboard. The spec'd out, they're the same bridge. The one I have is everything the same, but it has the 8.5. And I'm like, well, how far is 8.5 from 9.5? And I love strats. Like I was just doing the, calculations. I was calculating it. And again, it's not horrible. The 8.5 is not horrible. It's not nearly as bad as 7.25, the rounded vintagey Fender kind of vibe. It's very close to a Fender Strat, very close, but it's not as nice as Sovereign X, in my opinion, for me, for the fretboard. So I even thought about, I might do this because that's where I took the guitar off. It was the only thing I didn't sell. I sold all this stuff. My wife sold all this stuff. The only thing no one wanted to buy. I thought about, and I still might, I thought about reaching out to Knaggs and asking them if they're willing to let me ship the guitar, if they'll plane the fretboard down and refret it to a 12-inch. I thought about doing it myself, but if I do it, now the guitar's worth nothing. Right? Once I rip those frets out and play it down and refret it, I'd have to disclose that to anyone I ever sell it to. And once you tell somebody like, oh, doesn't matter. Once you tell somebody I refretted it and planed it down 12 inches, no one's going to want to buy it. But if they do it from the factory, it'll hold its value. Let's see. What else do we got? Well, we're going overtime. We're in overtime. Let's hit some super chats. We have Mark wants to know, what are your thoughts on sub $300 wireless guitar system, and is there one you recommend? There is none I recommend. I don't like the wireless guitar systems that exist today. I did not enjoy the Boss one. I don't know what it is. It digitized the sound. I did not enjoy it. If you guys like it and enjoy it, that's good. Remember, just because I don't like something doesn't mean we can't be friends anymore. I'm sure you guys are looking at some of my guitars going, I never owned that. You know, we all have our opinions. My opinion is didn't like the Boss. I thought the Line 6 one was cool. However, they were catching fire, and now I guess there's a firmware update and they fixed it. But here's my thing. If you have a product that's probably going to catch fire, I want to see that product totally redesigned. I'm sure it was, they said they fixed it, because I'm sure the firmware update, it's a battery. I'm sure it's always the lithium batteries now, something going wrong. I'm sure they fixed it with the firmware by telling the system not to run the battery as hard or something. Who knows? So it just made me a little weary. You know what I mean? And I really like Line 6 stuff, but I'm not buying a Line 6. I'm not buying a product, put it in my house next to my kids that might burn the house down, just so I don't have to plug in a cable. That's just not where I'm at. And if you do have one, please go to their website and do the firmware update, because it's not. I'm not exaggerating. They put out the warning that there is a recall because they were catching fire. After that, all of them get a little weird. I've tried some of the little weird $99 ones and stuff. They're all fine. All of it's fine, but I just don't love any of them. So to recommend one, I couldn't recommend a single one. There's none of them that are... And I like cables. I don't know what it is. I can tell you what I do. I'll tell you what I'm in love with. Look, I have it right here. Absolutely in love with. This is Klotz. You guys remember, some of you guys diehard fans know when Klotz sent me these cables, and I opened them on the live show, and I gave some away, and I kept a couple. Here's the cable I love. Now, this is Klotz, so I'm going to give them credit. I put links to all their stuff because I like their cable. But this is a Neutrik end. It's red, and it has this little thing right here. See this? And this is amazing. So what happens is when you plug in the guitar, this then the cable's active. When you pull it out of the guitar, once this released, this is now dead, right? So it's like an on-off switch where you don't have to do anything but plug the cable in. Once you go to this, this is it. Like all my other cables, I have so many freaking cables now that are just useless because I won't use any cables now. These, and all my cables now are this, because I love unplugging the guitar and just throw it on the floor, and when I'm ready to plug it in, it's great. So that's what those are the cables I use now, and you can get them right angled as well. And again, as much as like I said, Klotz gave them to me, sent them to me in this thing, so they deserve the shout out. But again, for full transparency, always, other brands have that feature, and it's always from Neutrik. It's that red one. There's other companies too, like D'Addario makes the ones that you push, and no. As much as I'm a huge D'Addario fan. I love them. Probably it's one of my favorite top 2 products of all time. But no, man, this is the way to go. Go with that. Get those red ends, and that's what I like. Goat Bucket, greatest of all time bucket is what I'm gonna say. Goat Bucket says, if you could own any vintage guitar for free, what would you choose? Can't just resell it. A vintage guitar. Any vintage guitar? The heart of your question is, what would I really pick that I want, not what I think I can flip for money. I'm trying to think of a vintage guitar that I would actually want, and there's none. Isn't that horrible? None. Obviously, if somebody offered me a vintage guitar for free, I think you'd be crazy to go, well, I don't think I want one. But if you're asking me truly, is there something that I've been like, oh, I've always wanted it? Like if a genie says, any vintage guitar you want. I don't know if there's a single vintage guitar that I could be like, yes, I absolutely want this guitar. And that, so there you go. Probably the closest thing I can think of is some kind of vintage Fender Telecaster. That would probably be the thing for the cool factor, the playability, and the sound. So something like that, like a 52 Tele or something like that. But, and I don't know what it is. Just, I have tons of friends who collect, resell, buy, trade vintage guitars for a living. I've played and put tons of tons of vintage guitars, but to me, it's not that they're not great. They're cool, but I mean, I have to be honest. I still get more excited about a cool paint scheme than I do over, how old the guitar is or how unique it is that way. Let's see. Brad Miller says, for the tip jar and just reminder about the P-Rails demo, please. Yes, Brad. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. Yes. The P-Rails demo is coming. And I got the, I got the P-Rails already, but what I got was the pickup rings that I can't remember what they're called by Seymour Duncan, but I have to mod them onto my modules. So that is something I'll do. I'm going to try. My plan, this is maybe take part of the day and just spend some me time working on guitars, on my guitars. I did that last Sunday. It was very therapeutic. I spent the whole afternoon just working on my guitars. I restringing guitars and doing stuff. It was really nice. Justin says, love the show. Thank you, man. Wow. Thank you for the super chat. That was huge. I appreciate that. The Convert says, Phil, I'm thinking of Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates for my deluxe telly. How do you like them compared to the PAF reproductions, 57, 59s, etc., per output and EQ? I always like the Pearly Gates. So for me, for Seymour Duncan pickups, I've always liked the Jazz and the 59 and the Pearly Gates. And then over time, for some reason, your ear changes. I've definitely leaned now to the Jazz and the Pearly Gates over the 59. And you were saying the PAF, but even the PAF reproductions that I like a whole lot, I kind of like the Pearly Gates because the Pearly Gates to me more mids. I think a lot of the PAFs have this sweet tone, but over time it's very mid scooped, and it depends on the amps you're using. And it's just something about having more mids in a lot of the amps I use just sounds great. Because a lot of amps I use are Fenders, and they're there's no even mid-range control on those. So it's nice if the pickups pushing the mids for me. Joseph says, hey Phil, have you found a replacement neck pickup for the Fiesta Red hollow body telly? No, I didn't. In fact, I decided not to change it. The Fiesta Red telly, I bought a bridge. For it to replace it, and then right after that, like literally within that same time frame, a patron of mine asked me if he could send me these, and he sent me these really cool saddles, and I was hoping by now that some cool project would come in, like some cool Sharpen My Axe or some guitar, some review, and I would be able to demo these on the guitar for him because he makes these himself. They're very cool, and I'll put a link to his auction for this product. So long story short, I'm going to put them on that telly and see how they sound, just because I'm just at this point, I think it's going to be months before I get another project that I can use those. So, but I decided, no, I actually ended up liking the pickups. It's just, I think it was the steel saddles on the bridge I didn't like. Too bright. Okay, Miguel says, there we go. We're moving along. Miguel, where's Miguel? Miguel says, I have a 2019 Epiphone. I'm going to update the pickups. Should I also do the pots? I currently have ProBucker coil split and getting a Seymour A2 Pros. Alnico 2 Pros, I'm sure is what he means. I haven't had my hands in the newest Epiphones to see if they changed anything, so I don't know. But based on all the old Epiphones I've messed with, old being 2016, 17s plus all that 18s, I change out the pots if I can. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to use a reamer or something, or drill out the holes a little bigger to go with the better pots. But to me, if you're gonna change that stuff, it's up to you, right? It's a budget thing. If you buy 2 pickups and that's the end of your budget and you've bought up to that and that's it, and do the pickups. They're going to make the biggest sound difference anyways. But if you have the other $40-$50 to buy all the new pots and the output jack, do it. But in importance, I will tell you this. On an Epiphone 2019, I'll tell you, Miguel, hopefully this helps. An importance of electronics to swap out, in my opinion. Pickups first, because that's going to make the hugest sound difference if that's what you're trying to change. This 3-way switch, because man, those cheaper switches are going to go out on you pretty fast. Output jack next, and then the pot. So before I tell you to replace the potentiometers, I would definitely look at that output jack and the 3-way switch, because that's going to be, those are going to things are going to those will fail on you. The odds of the potentiometers, even cheap ones, going bad on you are very unlikely. But the output jack and the 3-way switch, those things will give out faster for being cheap. Guitar music. Awesome. Says, you inspired my first fret crown and level job on my Gibson Les Paul Junior Pro and other mods on my player Strat as well. They play great, so now means a lot. Thanks. I appreciate that. Now I'm excited. So you know, we're going to be ramping up to the next phase. I think I've done enough videos where I've talked about fret work and stuff like that. I have 2 refret job videos coming. I'm very excited about them, and one's just going to be a little silly, inspired from when I did that video with Melissa where, you know, I sent her tools and she did soldering and stuff. And the whole idea was to show people like, hey man, don't be afraid of the soldering gun. You know what I mean? I'm not saying don't be afraid of refrets. I'm going to show you guys actually 2 refret jobs, but one of them, it's really important. It's one is like, this is the guitar you want to refret. Like if you're going to try a refret, this is how to do it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not done with it because I move slow. And this time of year, I think I've said this many times. This time of year, I have a large 3.5 car garage, and part of my garage is my shop area. That's where I work, and which is fine. I have evaporative cooler in there, and it works great. And but when I record, I cannot run the fans or evaporative cooler because it's just too loud for the mics. They hear too much of that. And my garage is insulated, even in the doors and stuff, for sound, which is good. We did that for making videos. The problem is that when you turn that stuff off, the insulation literally holds that heat in, so it's just too hot for me to work more than, let's say, 20-30 minutes at a time. Because literally it's just, I mean, you're just baking in there. So that's why I'm waiting for the temperature to drop. As soon as it gets in about 100 degrees, 102, then in the mornings, it's, you know, it's in 80 degrees, 75 to 85 degrees in the garage, and it'll stay, you know, it stays normal until noon, you know, and then you're fine. But so I'll finish those up. I just need to do a few extra things and finish those up. Okay, Steve Long Music says, what does he say? He says, hey, Phil, what's the best way to get the cranked Blues Junior sound at bedroom volumes for recording? Is an ISO box the only way there is, or some sort of power soak? Thanks for the great content. Well, if you use any kind of attenuation, it's going to darken the sound of the Blues Junior, and I've had that experience before. I've learned with these power attenuators is that a lot of them, if you really try to choke an amp down, they get really dark, they get a little muddy, and the lower wattage amps really turn into something that you don't end up loving when you record it. And I've done so much recording now for YouTube, and more so than anything else, and I hope this makes sense, as a weird skill set, like different than probably a studio person who's working in the studio to get a great sound. I'm trying to replicate a sound that's in the room. So when I'm recording amps and stuff and putting them in videos, I'm trying to give you exactly what it sounds like in the room. And so you start really realizing how different things sound when you use certain things. So yeah, attenuating the Blues Junior does change it a lot. If you were going to use an attenuator, I'm looking, there's one by Dr. Z amps. That one, for some reason, does it the least, but you're only going to use, it's got like 5 clicks on the knob, 1 or 2. That's it. So you'll just take that Blues Junior from really loud to loud. So it's not going to help a lot. Maybe it'll take it off your neighbor's ears, but in the room, it'll still be thing. An ISO box is probably a good idea. I mean, you know what I mean? Running it to a different cabinet, but again, it changes the sound a little bit as well. But yeah, that's your 2 options, I would say. So there's no effects loop. There's no way to put a master volume in that through the effects loop or anything like that. Those are the experiences I've had with the Blues Junior. Christopher says, I have the Blackstar 1 HT1. So he's got the 1 watt head with reverb. And he says, I just practice at low volumes. Should I invest in a better amp, an attenuator, or can I just run pedals into the HT1? I regret selling my HT1. I'm not sure why the heck I did it. It was one of those times where I was buying those Marshall 1 watt amps, and I thought, you know, I was using if the Blackstar is good, Marshall will be better, and they weren't much better in the HT1. They were better. They just weren't much better. It took pedals really well. I liked it. No, I think so think of this. Don't get a different amp to create a problem, because that's what you're doing. You have an amp that's working great. You can run pedals through it. It does a clean platform great. It's a good sounding little amp. So no, I think you got the right amp. You know what I mean? If you have, I sometimes though, there's this desire to get something else. And so what I remind you is like, yeah, get something else, but then have that for that other time, when you want to be a little louder. But no, I think the Blackstar 1 Watt is a great amp for pedals because it's living, when you're happy with its volume, it's living in its sweet spot, which is great. If you get something bigger, it's not going to be in its sweet spot at lower volumes. Waterford Giant, hey, what's up? It says, is a shameless plug for internet content allowed? I am not associated with or benefiting from the show, nor being asked to plug it or not. If not, no problem. Still love the show. No, it's allowed. I just don't know what the plug is. Shameless plug for internet content. Concert. Oh, internet concert. Internet concert allowed. Yes. What internet concert? If you tell me what it is, I'll put a link to it. And the thing. Yeah, I don't, no, I think people, people can choose if they watch it or not. So it's not like Tito says, Phil, I always said that guitar keeps me sane. I think most of us feel that way too. Hanging out on your channel is really sanity saver in 2020. Yeah, I thank you for that. Again, I'm never going to say, I'm never going to get tired of hearing that this time during the COVID thing. Because like I said, I'm really glad when you guys bring that up because it really feels like, I felt like at the beginning of COVID, I was like, I'm not going to do the live show no more. And then when you guys started saying, no, this will be the best thing, to keep normal. I really thank you for reminding me of that. It says, I love my new made Mexico thin line telly. It's probably because it's great. Voodoo Fist, what's up? It says, when the first line of McKnight custom guitars go to hit the market? And the answer would be never. It's never going to happen. That's the thing. I think I've said this many times that I like doing the YouTube channel, and there was a conscious decision. So you guys know, when I made YouTube videos, when I started on this channel, and you guys know this, I had the store, of course, all this stuff. What you may have not known, most people didn't know, is that the store had a YouTube channel as well. It was me and Ralph on the channel, obviously. And so when I started the Phil McKnight channel, it was a conscious decision to disassociate my store from my channel, the YouTube channel. What I'm doing here today, talking with you, interacting, making videos. This is what I was looking for. I was looking for something that isn't, a promotion tool for something I was doing, something else I was doing. And so think about this on this YouTube channel, I always promote, like I have patrons, you guys support Patreon. Obviously, we do some product demos. We'll do most, t-shirt sales. We'll do, t-shirt sales like today, the sales, has a sale for Teespring for t-shirts. That's the fun so I can keep doing this. And my concern is it's not a issue of ethics. It's not an issue of anything else. It's hard every day to say no to a decision that can benefit my family versus a decision that can benefit you guys, right? Makes sense. I think most people could relate to that, right? So let me give you an example. If somebody says, hey, I'll pay you $10,000 to make a video about this, and I'm like, well, that's not good for my community, but man, $10,000 pays a lot of tuition for my kids. It's not fun to have those kind of decisions to have to make. So I don't want to be in a situation where every day I'm like, well, if I make a video today and I just promote my guitars, that will be the focus of this, and I will change the focus. So you understand, my logic to not sell guitars is the same logic of why I won't do a signature product, a signature pedal or a signature guitar. It's not because I have a problem with that. No, are you kidding? Dude, that's a dream come true to have a signature guitar or pedal. I mean, for anybody, everybody watching here, even if you only been playing 2 weeks, you're always like, wouldn't it be great if I had a signature guitar? The question becomes, how do I then stay neutral? It's a very tough thing. I have to deal with it every day too. Think about this. This year alone, I've done tons of content for Sweetwater and American Musical Supply, both those companies. Sam Ash had reached out to me too and had lined up some content, but then COVID happened, so they had to back off. I pride myself on the fact that I can go out and do, those are competitors and they're on the same channel. Why? Because I buy from both of them and because we're all guitar players and we shop from all of them. And I don't want to be in bed with any one company or any one thing and have to promote it over something else. I want to be able to, like, this is my mood. Like I've said before, I like Sweetwater because they weigh the guitars and they tell you the weight. I like Sweetwater because they have good customer service. I like American Musical Supply because they have great payment plans. Right. You know what I mean? There's reasons why to like other companies for other things. So that's what it is. It's all this desire to kind of keep whatever this is going. But more importantly is, I'm pretty sure at this point, all channels can die. YouTube can die. People get sick of what I'm doing. That all can happen. But I also worry about me getting sick of this and then not making content, because it happens all the time. All of a sudden I get little windows where I'm not making content. I'm burnt out. You got to make sure you don't burn out. So I understand and I appreciate it. So, Voodoo Fist, the reason I tell you all that is because I really appreciate you saying that, because it makes me feel good. You're like, yeah, you were like, all right, cool. But I'm not going to do it. So there you go. But I appreciate it because, like I said, it's made my weekend, right? It's knowing that you can feels good. Knowing that you shouldn't feels right. Okay, so Rasha07 says, if I wanted to send you a piece of gear to check out, not looking for a review or anything, is it allowed? And if so, is there a public P.O. box? My address is public. It's a physical address that you can send stuff to. So that's public. I believe it's public. It used to be on the website. I don't know if it's public now anymore. Anyways, but it's very easy to email to me. Yeah, the answer is yes. Companies, people send stuff to me all the time for me to check out. The only requirements I have is if you send me something, I appreciate if I will pay the travel back. You know what I mean? I will be glad to send you notes on anything. And if I make content, I make content. I love that. That deep down, that's my favorite content to make. The idea that I don't have to make the content, that there's no nefarious agenda behind it. I appreciate that because, I feel like that makes us partners in this. We're both taking risks. I have to check out a piece of gear that could go really not cool and spend my time on that. And you could take the chance that I might get it and not like it and send it right back to you or not find interest in it. And that's really what it is. It's not, I don't send stuff back I don't like. I just don't think there's any interest, or I'm not interested, or there's something else, whatever. There's a ton of reasons. A lot of times I just don't have time, so it just sits forever. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. If that's something you'd like to do. And if you want, send an email to the AskKnowYourGear@gmail. And all you got to do is simple. If you send me the email about this, I'll just send you an email saying hi. And on my return emails, it has that address everywhere. But that address is pretty public. All right. Mathis says, hey, Phil, greetings from Sweden. Hey, Sweden. Says, big fan. Which is your favorite Strat bridge that actually stays in tune? I'd like to be able to actually use a trim, possibly upgrade some of the guitars. So I like a couple Strat bridges. Obviously I like the Vega trims. I think they stay in tune very well and they're very smooth, but that's a different vibe. I don't recommend that bridge as like the best Strat bridge. I recommend it as if you like the Floyd Rose filling bridges or the Bigsby, like what I call the floating bridges, right? Where it's smooth. I know they're all floating, but you know what I mean? It's like really soft. I love the Vega trim for that. I have no problem with any of the Strat bridges staying tuned. So I use the Goto bridge with great luck. I use the Fender bridges. I've never yanked any of my Fender bridges out for a lack of staying in tune. Most bridges you can float pretty good, and it just depends. But see, remember the big thing for that, when I say my bridge doesn't go out of tune, I don't bend the tremolo to an extreme. I'm not trying to get like a full step, 2 full steps, 3 steps, a pitch bending. I'm just doing a little, vibrato action, just a little bit of smooth action. So because of that, I don't tend to knock them out of tune. Joe says, thoughts on the Friedman Vintage S versus Fender Custom Shop? Wow, we got this question last week. We just talked about this. My Friedman's right behind me. If I could turn for those in the podcast. There it is. It's like mint green. It's right there. Ta-da. Versus Custom Shop. Well, the Custom Shop, we talked about this last time. I like the Friedman. I have a Custom Shop. I have a Friedman. My Custom Shop was specifically for me. The Friedman was off the shelf, so it's a different animal. But what I will tell you is I think overall I like the Friedman, but the Custom Shop Fender is a better purchase in that price range. It just is. If you're going to spend $3-4 grand, it's a better purchase. But It's maybe because Grover Jackson's behind it. And I'm a huge fan of Grover Jackson. Maybe because they just, Dave Freeman has a good ear for tone, I guess, because the guitar sings. It's a sick guitar. It's one of the best playing sounding guitars. It is. It just really is. People who buy the Freeman's one of those things like at first you're like, what? And then you get one and you're like, oh yeah, they got it right. It's a really cool guitar. So let me know if you want a review of it. I was going to do some videos with it. And then I did a couple, it was in some videos, but I never did a specific video about it. I didn't know if anyone had questions about it. I was just using it. But, to do videos, but well, let me know. Gabriel says, Headrush pedal board or Axe FX8. Okay, so that's the question. Which one? It says, got a Headrush, but wondering how to upgrade it. Would it be to switch to me, Headrush and Axe FX8 aren't in the same league, if you want my opinion, which apparently you did. So we're gonna have to, and I know you got a Headrush. Look, I hate saying this because I know you got the Headrush, and I don't want to arm you tonight with the whole I need to get rid of this thing and get an Axe FX8. But to me, Headrush is what you get if you're trying to get the Helix, or if you're trying to get the mid-price units. Axe FX and I think Kemper, and I think the Helix is close to the sounds in my opinion. But Axe FX and to me and Kemper are on a different league of sounds. When I play Headrush, when I play, what's the other ones? I play Headrush, I played the More GE series, which are really good. Helix stuff, which is really good. The Boss stuff. I mean, some of them have, there's things that, there's good things. Like, I really like the effects, the sounds on the Helix. I'm not huge on the distortions, not loving them. So trying things, the Headrush to me was like, it was simple. It was so easy to use. And to be honest with you, I would argue that the Headrush, like, look, for me, I would love to own an FX8, okay? Axe FX8. I'm not going to program it. And unless I can get Larry Mitchell to come over and program it for me, I'm not going to program it. Because I can plug into my amp over here and just get a sound that I love in 5 seconds. I'm not going to spend 5 hours trying to get a good sound. It's just never going to happen. And the Headrush to me is all plug and play. It's super easy. I could probably so what I'm basically getting at is a cheaper unit, less expensive unit. If you could edit it better and you operate it better, you'll probably get better things out of it. But if you're asking me which one, I think the Axe FX is the better sounding unit, but only if you can operate it. Because I'm not spending the time, not cracking over owner's manual. You know what I do? This is how I make those decisions. It's not good. It's not what I'm saying. It's not a good way to do it. But late at night, I pull up some videos and I watch some tutorials. And if halfway through the tutorial I start like I don't have no idea what's going on, I go, yep, that's not for me. That's what I said. I have the Helix Stomp. I have never been happier. I get 3 good sounds out of it. I can use it when I need it. It is fantastic. I got nothing bad to say about that thing. It's one of my favorite tools to get good sounds. And in fact, if I'm frustrated, I'll literally just plug that in and go. So there you go. Robert says, I have a 3 pickup SG. Middle pickup activates from Tag Pot. Okay. Really don't like the Tag Pot. It says Tog Pot. Oh, we'll get there. Switch recommendations. What should the position be? I have no idea. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever. I'm trying to think about it. I've done 3 pickup guitars before, obviously besides Strats and stuff. I've even done Les Paul. I don't think I've ever messed with the 3 pickup SG and messed with it. So I'm like, I'm not even currently. It's been so long, and so it's been probably years since anyone brought anything like that to me to work on. So I'm not familiar with it. I'd have to look at a schematic or something. I don't think I have a good answer for you today, buddy. I don't want to give guesses, and I just don't have it. But you have me curious, so I'll try and get some time to check one out online and see what it's all about. Maybe I can help you from there. Chuck in Music says, hey, Phil, I would like to install an affordable active pickup system in my Glary acoustic to learn how to do it. What do you recommend? Also, your great guitar build was amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chuck. very much. You know, you can install all kinds of modules. You can get the Fishman units. You can get those, you know, you can get cheap ones off of Amazon for like $10 that are not horrible. I don't know if yours already has it, but what I like to do, if you're going to mod up a Glary, okay, nothing wrong with a Glary, by the way, but I'm just saying, if you're going to mod up an inexpensive acoustic, if I was going to spend the money, either A, go on Amazon and get one of those really inexpensive units, or go out there and get one of those really expensive units and just do it for the fun of doing it, learning to do it, and get a good sound out of it. Or get a drop-in saddle pickup, in other words, something that goes underneath the bridge, or pop-in sound hole pickup, and then a good outboard preamp. Get a preamp pedal. So I have Taylors. And even my Taylors, I run an outboard preamp. I run through an outboard pedal, of sort of speaks. So you can get outboard preamp pedals that just sound so good. I've never understood at this point. And here's why I do that. And I should tell you, I'm very jaded. If you work on as many acoustics over the years, what you'll start learning is that 90% of the damn modules, they outdate so fast that when they go bad, the new modules aren't the same shape. You got to cut a different hole. You're like, and then everybody's like, well, I only paid $200 for the acoustic. And you're like, well, it's $393 with labor to fix. And they're like, they don't want to pay that. So over time, I'm like, you know what? We should just buy a good outboard piece of gear and then just plug a nice piezo pickup into the outboard gear and get a good sound. Rob says, what does he say? Rob says, hi, Phil, longtime viewer, been collecting for 35 years and collecting up to 75 guitars. That's a lot of guitars, dude. That's a number. Tips for selling, pricing, and shipping on Reverb. Yeah, so there are some tips. And pricing. Well, pricing's easy, okay? So here's what you do. First of all, I just did it. Let me tell you what I did. I go out there and I look at what they're going for, and then I price based on one factor. How likely are they going to come across another one? So if I have something and everyone has it, like I'm like, okay, I have a made in Mexico red Strat. I'm like, okay, what's it saying? It says they're going used from $300 to $375. I'm going to go, well, let's go in the fair market middle and go $340 or something like that, right? You can always go a little high. It doesn't matter. If Reverb says the high is $375, put $375 in offer now. But if I have a, metallic purple limited edition, never seen color before, I'm going to go above whatever Reverb usually says. I'm going to put it a little high and wait for the offers. Because I'm always skeptical anytime we can't find your product that you're selling. So don't be afraid to mark stuff a little high. And you'll know you did right. You should never sell a product in like 5 minutes. Somebody's like, I put it on Reverb and it's sold in 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, it's not good. I do it too. We're all guilty of it. We put it up and you're like, if you sell something that fast, probably was too good to be true, too cheap of a price. Shipping on Reverb is easy. So, just use Reverb shipping system. I highly recommend you stay with that. If you don't have a business, I have a business FedEx account. I'll sometimes use that, and I use the Reverb shipping as well. The only reason I use my FedEx business account, and I don't use it all the time, is because it's a slightly cheaper rate for me than what Reverb is willing to charge me. But Reverb is always the least amount of headache. So yeah, it's a pretty simple thing. And then, like I said, you should make up. But here's the best advice I'll get you. That's the best. Be ready to ship. So if you're going to list 5 guitars, get 5 boxes. This is what I like to do. This is how I usually handle things. You take the pictures of the item, you plug it in, do your descriptions, launch your auction. Once you launch it, I take pictures or video, usually best to do both, turn on the video, box up the item, and make it ready to go and have it sitting ready to ship out. And the second it sells, get it out. I've been shipping all my stuff within 24 to 48 hours, but 48 days only just because if they land on a Saturday, I can't take it on a Sunday sometimes where I'm at locally. So Get it out fast. What I will tell you is we live in a new world, and I don't care if you're a private seller. No one wants to hear I'm not a store. I'm a private seller, and it's going to get out next Thursday. It pisses people off, and it's gonna come back on you. So get your stuff out fast. That's a recommendation to everybody. Get your stuff out fast. People expect. I'm not exaggerating. You guys know, you're all buyers too. They expect if they buy something even from a private party at 3 o'clock on a Thursday, at 3:30 they expect their tracking number. So there you go. Be ready. Okay. I think we did it. Did we do it? It was 2 hours. I've been talking a long time. Okay. Let me double check one thing. Let's see if there's one. I'm sure I missed some super chats and stuff. Let me see what I got. Hold on a second. Eddie wanted me to have some money for moonshine funds. Eddie, they make moonshine. I was in the liquor store and they saw moonshine. Like, I don't know if it's real, but they had bottles of it. I'm not a liquor guy. I tried whiskey. If you guys remember the old shows, I was talking about whiskey. I tried whiskey. It was on a thing where I was trying to do whiskey. I'm just not wired for it. No liquor, hard liquors. It's just not my thing. Fox and the Hound with a W, folks, says, Phil, I had to return my new Ventera Strat for QC. Busted tuner, fret sprout, but I rolled it into my first Les Paul. Any news on Gibson 2020 QC? Well, I told you I bought an ES35 and it was great. It was not great, but it's great now. But I will do that video and talk about that. Again, it wasn't huge. I mean, it's not something you should have to tolerate for that price of a guitar, but it's a hard guitar to find during now, and so I did it. That's really cool that you got a better guitar. Always better. Hold on. Oh, AJ says, just picked up a Neutrik TRS pass-through jacks from my pedal board to make 4cm cleaner. Okay. Now it's Buzz City. Removing those TRS pass-through eliminates the noise. Any ideas? No, what sucks is I don't do a whole lot of that stuff. Isn't that funny? I keep everything super simple down, just simple down. When it comes to pedal boards, I keep my pedal board as really simple as possible. And I don't even use any kind of switching systems or anything. Because of that reason. It's already complicated when there's just 10 pedals or 5 pedals. Well, what do I got? 2, 4, 6, 8. I got 9 pedals on that board. So it's already complicated then. But I'm not into the switching and stuff. I've done some switching stuff in videos and stuff, and every time it was really cool, but it was just not my thing. Stu says, hey, Phil, what's the pale and blue guitar behind your head? Okay. And where did you net out on the humbucker size P90s? Where do you net out? Oh, I think it means where do you get out? Where do you get out on the humbucker? Okay, so let's talk about the guitar. Pale and blue. Behind my head. There's 2 blue guitars behind my head. There's this one, which I cannot point at. There it is. I'm pointing at it right now for the podcast. That is a John Petrucci guitar, 6-string with DiMarzio pickups in it. So that's that guitar, and then the other blue one, which is not pale and blue, it's stained blue. That's a television that has P90s in it. I think that's maybe what you were getting at. So unless you're asking me what I think of P90s or Gibson P94s, I have Gibson P94s in a guitar. They're fine. Like I said, I like all P90s almost the same, so that makes life easy. I have never felt the need to swap any really of the P90s in the guitars. So whatever P90s come in the guitar, I usually leave them. I usually end up liking them, which is one of the few pickups I just leave alone. Declan wants to know, do you have recommendations for a brass saddle telly bridge with decent intonation, making a parts caster and vintage vibe? I have to try these out. I haven't tried these out though. These aren't really compensated that way, but I want to try them out. But the ones I like are from Wilkinson. They're really cheap, good. He did a great job. Trev Wilkinson did a great job setting up those. You can get those at a really good price, and they're very good quality. So I would check out those. There's a couple other manufacturers as well, but the Trev Wilkinson ones I think are probably the best price. So there you go. All right, we did it. That was 2 hours. 2 hours of guitar talking. So on that note, we're going to call it. So everybody's got hopefully a good weekend to look forward to. And like, I want to thank everybody again for the, you know what? I was going to do the predictions. And they're going to announce the winners tomorrow. So, and I promise you guys, so this is going to be the longest episode ever. I'm going to do the predictions, the last. So here are my predictions. My predictions of the Great Guitar Build-Off and who I think is going to win. And then I'm going to tell you the second part, which is who I think should win. And let me tell you who I think is going to win. I think Jimmy DiResta is going to win. If I say his last name wrong, I'm sorry. I've heard somebody say it DiResta, and then I heard somebody say DiResta. I think it's DiResta. Anyways, I think he's going to win. And maybe that's because I don't fully understand all the rules of the contest. My understanding is you get points for your video, which I think his has the most views. I could be wrong. And then if not, it's close with Dan's from Guns and Guitars video. So I think he's going to win. I think then it's going to be either Texas Toast or Dan from Guns and Guitars based on their, because again, everybody's like, it's the auctions were points and the Instagram were points, but the videos, it looks like they're the biggest points. So if I was going to guess, it's going to be something like Jimmy, then Dan's Gun Guitars, then Texas Roadhouse, Texas Toast. Dude, 2 hours of talking. 2 hours of talking. Okay, Texas Toast. And then after that, I think it's going to be maybe Tamar. And then maybe... Then it's probably Brad. Then Big D. Then me. That'd probably be my guess. Or maybe I'm second to last in that. That's who I think is going to win, or that's my predictions based on what I think of the points system. I could be totally wrong. Who do I think should win? I think Texas Toast should win. I've said that from the beginning. Oh, I didn't say who about Ben Crow. Ben Crow. I think he'll be in the middle. So like I said, I'm just going with, I think Jimmy's going to win, and then Dan and Guns and Guitars. I think those are going to be the two, and then Texas Toast, and then maybe Ben, and then Brad. Maybe Tamar, then Brad. And then me, and then Big D. I think me and Big D will just hang out at the end because we're the last two, based on what I see. But that's just guesses, and just a guess. But who do I think should win? I think Texas Toast should win. I think that's who I think should win. I'm going off the guitars, right? So I want to go off the guitars. So my favorite guitars was Texas Toast guitar was my favorite because it was the most outrageous and crazy. And then and I'm gonna do this in a funny way, so hopefully you guys will understand. So without doubt, Texas Toast is my favorite guitar. The second favorite guitar was actually my guitar. I'm just being honest. Third favorite guitar was Big D's guitar. Fourth favorite guitar was Dan's guitar. Fifth favorite guitar was Tamar's guitar. Sixth favorite guitar was Brad's, because I'm not into the crazy shapes as much, although I think he did. I think his was we'll get to that in a second. And then last was Jimmy's. So that's why I think those are my favorites from least to least favorite, or most favorite to least favorite of the guitars. That being said, there should be some honorary split off. So first of all, I think the craziest idea, like awards. I saw somebody do awards. I think Dan and Guns and Guitars gets the craziest, thinking outside the box crazy award, which is what I said before. I think Texas Toast did the best shocker award. As shocking as turning a guitar into a bass, I would never in a million years that I think there was going to be a 3-neck guitar. Never. Like, I was just totally shocked by that. I was really shocked, actually, believe it or not, by Brad Angove's Brad's guitar, because I just didn't think he was going to make that. So his was really shocking to me too, and it was really cool and different. The other thing is I really like that he actually walked you through his process. That was another thing too. I will say this, Crimson Guitar's build was so cool in how different it was, the whole thing, and then being connected back together. I think though the problem is like I said before, he's done so many crazy cool builds that I just don't know. It's not that his guitar wasn't amazing. In fact, his guitar was. It's just not my favorite of all his builds. And so you kind of want him to outdo himself, which is impossible for him to do. It's just impossible. He's done so many great builds. Now, when I say it's impossible, he's going to do it because he's going to do another build that we're going to love. So those are kind of like some of my thoughts on that. And I think the only thing I can honestly say is the only guitar I didn't like, the guitar I liked was Jimmy's, and no particular reason. I'm just wasn't excited about it. But I know that was something I thought I'd throw out there, mostly just because I wanted to throw out some ideas, because tomorrow's they're going to announce it tomorrow, who wins, who's the best, who got the most. But we won because, well, the same reason they all won, because we did a huge job for charity, and I want to thank you guys for that. On that note, 2 hours of a live show, and we're going to end with I think we did a great job for charity, man. I feel really good. I hope you guys feel good too. It was a great way to end that whole thing on the super positive, and I'm excited about it. And on that note, we're definitely going to go because 2 hours. All right, guys. You guys have a great weekend. I will see you guys next week. As always, thank you so much for your time. Till the next time, know your gear.